I wasn't allowed to go to people's houses in the night, or I was scared to let people come to my house and spend the night because I didn't ever know if he was going to have like an episode. Like when we had like episodes, we have to like run into the car and drive around till he passed out and sleep, and then we would sneak back in the house. So I didn't ever know like if I had friends stay over the weekend. Like I didn't want them to be exposed to that, because people pick on, in school, people pick on, So that around the time I was like 10 or 11, I just started like almost like being able to like take myself out of the situation and let another part of me be the one get molested. And that was when I came up with Harmony. And Harmony can like tell you about abuse and stuff. I try not to do it because I've stored it in a place far away. You know what I mean? But so I started let Harmony be the one be molested and not me. Because that way, if my friends ever ask me, like, why come you can't come over? I could create like a perfect picture in my world that you can come over one day, it'll be great, we'll do this, we'll play ball, we'll hang out. I didn't want them to go to that world where they had to know, like, we literally always get molested because my friends would have been like their moms and stuff like that would have been like, you need to tell somebody, you need to do this. So, and I was always scared of losing softball too, so that was like my outlet.
Sure. So you created her.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a personality, so did you create anyone else?
Remember I told you I lived in a trailer? That was in 1996. That was during the Olympics. The U.S. women's gymnastics team had won a gold medal. And that I played another personality in that. That's Christina Brigana, and she's friends with like Carrie Strug, Dominic Dawes, and a bunch of people that are on the team. And like I had the whole trailer to myself, so she would like be able to like create apparatuses and like do like balance beams off stuff, like 'cause maybe days my mom would be gone, and so that was just the way I would cope with. No, and not knowing if my mom was ever going to take us back there. Because I knew she would. Every time she said she was never going back, we'd go back. So that helped me through that year. Because I had to stay really good in school. You know what I mean? Because my plan was like to get out one day, do really good, which I did end up doing really good in school. I have a doctorate degree. But like, if it wasn't for being able to use it different, I guess you could probably like persona or whatever. I wouldn't have been able to live with her.
We have Harmony. Christina was the other one.
That was from when I was little. As I got older, there was more like Letecia, and there's Taylor, and there's Maria. She's protector. It was like I don't sometimes like if you look at like a lot of my different social medias, they have different names. Different page, different one. You could always tell she was when I played softball because like if I was in Letecia, like Letecia at my ambidextrous, so I could hit left-handed and left-handed, and like sometimes people wouldn't understand when I go to the plate, and they'd be like, "Hey, you need to hit left-handed, and you need to like," because there'd be like a runner, like baseball. There's like a runner in second and third. They're like, "You need to hit left-handed," but if I was in that personality, I couldn't hit left-handed.
So we have, as you got older, there was Letecia. Taylor?
Mm-hmm.
You said Taylor was the protector?
Yeah, Taylor's my main person. No, Maria's my protector. Taylor's my main personality.
Thank you. Maria.
Mm-hmm. Victoria is the only personality that I have like empathy in because I store so much of trauma. If you want me to like be like if a friend's talking to me and they need me to give them advice, I have to switch to Victoria to actually try and be empathetic at all. Like severely empathetic. You know what I mean? I just don't have to.
All right. Taylor's the main personality. Maria's the protector. Victoria is the one who has the most empathy and kindness.
And then Letecia, she's bipolar. She be doing the most. Like, you'll notice when I'm on Letecia, actually the psychiatrist the other day came to take my meds. She was doing the most. She's bipolar sick, and she was up for 4, 5, 6 days at a time, you know. So I think it's Kepler or something like that.
You're currently on Kepler.
Kept something, yeah. That kept from. I was gonna put me back on the Letecia, but I'll be eating too much on it. I don't like it.
So who are we talking to right now?
Yeah, okay.
When you say Taylor is the main personality, what do you mean by that?
It's like, okay, so you notice like with Letecia, she's like more like into her like thug life. I guess you can say like rap music, that kind of thing. But Taylor's everything is like Letecia wanted to be because she gets to be like, yeah, kind to everybody, but like successful. She has a whole separate world, you know. She's married to Tyler. They have kids.
This is everything that Taylor wanted to be, and Letecia gets married to Tyler.
No. Taylor is everything Letecia. You got it backwards. Yeah, Taylor is married to Tyler and have 3 kids, Ariana, Alicia, and Adriana.
8 and ending at 24:55. Again, if you want to sit back here or sit up there, whatever you're more comfortable.
This is fine, thank you.
$14.48, yes.
And just decided to get married, so that would happen. So I think we have each other. It's a real thing, like know each other. But it was to keep from having to do those crazy things that were updates. We wanted to make sure whatever we did never hurt anything to do with children. So it was good on that. But then early in my marriage, Albert goes to Oklahoma. He's away at Oklahoma. He's away in Colorado Springs for training. And I'm taking care of the kids on his weekends to make sure he didn't lose his weekend. So I would have the kids on his weekend, but he would be in Oklahoma and he'd be in Colorado Springs. So like a lot of our marriage, I'd say 85% of it, we never even lived together. We never lived together until Colorado, like officially lived together. Because, yeah, that was when we moved to Colorado Springs. Because we moved to Colorado Springs in March, but he didn't come yet from Alaska. Now I got the kids in school and stuff, so we really didn't live together. And so I started working at French, and I got back from probably graduating high school, and then we had all went on a cruise. So really, it was August 2019 when we actually like lived together. So it was more of like almost like a convenience. Like I feel like the marriage of convenience was I did everything for the kids. I took care of the kids. You know what I'm saying? I worked and we could buy whatever we wanted because we both had really good incomes. And I know that whatever, but that's the truth. You know, that's what it more so like.
When you started dating Albert, were you still living in North Carolina?
So this was South Carolina.
Living in South Carolina.
I was living in South Carolina to South Carolina.
Did you and Albert ever have any problems?
No, like, okay, so our mom is a nurse practitioner for a psychiatrist. A lot of extensive experience in psychiatry. They would constantly tell Albert, I needed to be on medication or I need to be doing this throughout our whole marriage. You know what I mean? So that would cause a lot of problems. Like even if you look at the report that she wrote to police before I got arrested, she talks about, you know, in there about you know, 1 minute I'm this way, 1 minute I'm that way, you know what I mean? So like, basically was married to him and her, you know what I'm saying? So it wasn't necessarily a lot of physical, there was not, you know, any physical abuse, it was a lot of emotional abuse. He's a narcissist, so, you know, he's the victim and everything, and he took advantage of my mental, sometimes I way my mental status would be, and like go to his mom about it, and they'd all try to like tell me I need to be on this meds, or I need help for this, or I'm crazy, you know. So it was more so mental and emotional. And there was never any physical up until the end. When we got custody of the kids, he thought I was in cahoots with her, which I guess you can kind of say I was. So if you look at my phone record, you'll see my plan was leaving, but I didn't want to leave the kids. There were messages you could see me say, I don't want to leave the kids because I knew they would get taken care of. So we had custody of them. But their mom, she started dabbling in drugs, but she wasn't ready to get the kids back yet. So my plan to her was always like, I'm gonna let you know right before I leave. You better have a house, you better have everything together, and then I'll help you get the kids back to the lineup. So when he found out that I, what he calls it, was in cahoots with her, that's when he started getting violent and aggressive, like throwing lamps in the house, throwing like, there's a video on my phone they have where he stopped the car, because I record it all the time, because I wanted to keep all that evidence for Landon to have. And he's beating the piss out of Gannon, and he's flinging stuff like irate because he thinks we're all in cahoots against him to get the kids back. And he's like, you're just trying to take the kids from me. You're trying to get them back to their mom. So once I got the Colorado and we lived together, that's when it became like that. Never, there was no hitting me with his hands. It was just flinging stuff in the house, being angry, slamming doors, punching doors. Like, he would get like that because he swore down I was working with her. Which I guess you can see it as me working with her, but I felt like if I left, they wanted to be taken care of. Like, he was going to do schoolwork. He was going to make sure they clean. Nobody, he wouldn't. So he doesn't have that nurturing piece or that ability to multitask or none of those things. So in a way, I was kind of working with her to get the kids back home, but I guess he took that as me going against him. I was doing what was right for them. You know. I was leaving.
And so the kids would have been his two kids.
Right. If you look at all the school paperwork, who always talked to, up until he realized what I was doing, that I was collecting evidence to get the kids back home to her, because she had already promised me that I could see the kids whenever I wanted in Carolina, like that she would not take them out of my life. She had already told me that. And so like once I started collecting, he would notice I'd be driving down the road and I'd have the phone on. And I'd just start collecting everything. Because I'm already a paranoid person. But I knew like if I start collecting stuff, you know, like I would have it to give to her for everything. Because I wanted her to get her sobriety first, get a home, whatever. And once he noticed I started doing that, that's when it got a little bit violent with him thinking I was trying to set him up and take the kids from him. Like, his weren't paranoia. His was just because he knew I was right. He knew that everything I was collecting was preparing for when I left. Because if you even look at my phone searches on the evidence, you'll see that like I was like looking for a place to stay. I was like getting everything in order. I had already told Gannon like on Wednesday, I'm going to call your mother and tell her what's going on, but we gotta wait till Wednesday. The reason I said wait till Wednesday because I was starting that flight attendant job and I wanted to make sure that everything had went through my flight attendant, that I had been like officially hired. I was going to the training, everything before I said something to her that, hey, I'm leaving. You know what I mean? Here's our plan. This is what we're going to do to get the kids back. They wanted to go with me, but I told them, I was like, don't charge me with kidnapping. We can go across the country. We got to have a plan, you know, so. But that was always the plan. So they can call it cahoots, whatever they want to call it. But my plan was to make sure I know that Rhonda and Matt would take care of that. Landon's mom and dad. I know as long as because when I was in South Carolina and I had the kids, they were the only two people that helped me with anything. I had by myself. So I knew they would be safe with it. whatever I needed to do to prepare them to have them, that was the application. So
And about how many months, maybe before this alleged offense happened, did things take where he really became aggressive?
I know it sounds minimal. I've created so many different personas in my life, and so many different ways to cope with everything I've been through. The sunlight is one of them. Like being in somewhere warm, being somewhere where I can use those coping skills to help me when I have a flashback, you know, when I wake up from a nightmare, so I tried to talk to him about it. And I said, hey, Colorado and me just don't, you know, like it's causing me to get worse mentally. I was having more of my manic episodes. I was just like having more episodes where I forget and lost of time. And a lot of it was because I didn't have those coping skills. Like you can't play softball here in Colorado. You know what I mean? Not during the months that I'm used to playing back home. And so, you know, all these skills I built over time were taken from me in Colorado. So when I got here officially in August, it was weird because I had to do outside duty work too. For teaching, you know, to have like outside duty, stuff like that. I was freezing in September, you know, and I was like, I wanted to do something else, or let me go be a flight attendant where I could do warm sometimes. And I'll set my schedule where I'll be with the kids a few days a week, and I'll be a flight attendant a few days a week. Because I knew mentally I needed the outlet because I'd used it all my life. That's when he took offense to it of like, if you're going to be a flight attendant, there's nobody going to be here to watch the kids. And I was like, I'll be here on these days, but these days I want. So that was around September, October of 2019. Because I had applied for a flight attendant job and I was supposed to start it the next year because they only have like a waiting list or whatever. That's when it got like that, when he saw that I was actually going to be leaving or be gone part-time. He can't operate without having someone do everything. So that's kind of the thing, okay? So Letecia believes that Sam Hunt are always together. Y'all know who Sam Hunt is? Country singer, right? Okay, so he always like kind of laughs at me about this because I be telling him Sam Hunt writes these songs about me all the time, you know what I mean? And so we went through, when I'd be in my bipolar episodes, like we had everybody convinced back home that Sam Hunt was Harley's dad because Hunt's their last name, you know what I mean? And then I don't know, because I'd be getting like this ego of like, why wouldn't you want to be like that? Like, I still do the same thing now, even at the jail, when I don't even have nothing but an orange suit. You know what I mean? But I still be thinking the most, you know what I'm saying? So, like, I am aware of the discrepancies in my personalities and being, you know, working with special needs kids throughout the time I have. I know when I recognize something's abnormal to be around somebody. I'll be like that. And then next thing you know, I won't come out of my room. Especially around like holidays and stuff like that. I won't come out of my room. I'll just be sitting in my room the whole time. Like in my marriage, Albert would be like, why don't you come in here and watch TV? And I'd be like, no, I'm staying in here. Why do you want to stay in here? But then I go into the mode of like, well, I mean, I spent a lot of time in my closet growing up. Why not? You know? And I would just not eat, flow with me. You know, the world's going to end. I want to die. And then I'd fluctuate back into it again. So, like common sense, I knew something, you know, wasn't right. Like, I'm not a stable person. I'm not a person that you're going to say that being a professional that I am. Went through all this time with schooling. How do you think I did it? Because I didn't sleep. You know what I mean? I'd be so excited. I'd be doing this degree and that degree and that degree. How did I get them all? Because of those times. But then there'd be times when I wouldn't be turning in my schoolwork, and I'd have to message the teacher and be like, look, that's right now. You know, like next week I'll catch up and do 3 weeks worth of work, but just not this week, you know. And so like you learn that's just not normal. Like if you guys, one of y'all came to work with each other like that, and you consistently came like that, you'd be thinking one of two things. Are you on drugs or is something really wrong? and I don't do drugs. So like the more and the more that happened, you know, like I became cognizant of it. And then Harley, as she got older, she started noticing. She's like, Mom, you'll be this personality, then you'll be this one, and then I don't even know sometimes. And she just learned to like, you know, like to deal with it. And then sometimes they can't even pry me out of the room because I won't leave for days. You know, so as it happens more, you
Minutes ago, you said you hear voices, that they're all your personality,
right.
and that's it.
Yeah, and the devil. But you know, there's always the devil. The devil is always trying to tell you to do something. Like when I was on the high school junior 26, the devil was telling me to jump off the height because it had to be a white family to jump off the height. That's the devil. That's like cosmic powers trying to like come in and intervene. That's going to be with all of us. You know what I'm saying? The closer you are to God, the devil's going to come get you all the time. You know what I mean? But as far as like, you know, I don't believe in this whole thing that people say, and no disrespect to y'all, even jobs, but for me, I don't believe in this whole thing where people say, oh, these people are talking to them. These are your cosmic powers and your personalities. Like all my personalities are going to talk to me and be like, why don't you just slap that girl? Like those type of things. But I don't think drugs with these people beyond this whole best thing and maybe doing that stuff. Like none of that. But there's always the devil that has you to do that. You know what I mean? Like running the Jeep off in the form of chance for you to run a Jeep off. You know what I mean? But I don't believe in that other stuff. So, you know.
So you don't believe in which other stuff.
Like, I be seeing people come in, they be on meds and they be swearing up and down, like, you know, like, oh, these people were telling them to do this. And I'm like, what? You know what I mean? It's only gonna be the devil. Like, the devil told me to jump off a hot different. It ain't gonna be just random people sitting out somewhere telling you this. Like, this ain't how it works. You know what I mean? Yes, does my different personalities tell me to do different things? Yes, but that's still a part of me, just in a separate world. That's not, you know, I don't know. I just feel like they be just a little bit emotional making that stuff up. I believe in, if they might say something wrong, that's the devil, or that's yourself. I mean, even if you got 5 cells, it's them. It ain't, if you, that's people not on drugs like me now. People that be on meds and all that. Like I be seeing them coming there and they be swearing up and down, you know, the most craziest stuff is going on. Like I don't believe in that. I feel like it's the devil. Not, I mean, have I? Yes. I've been in forms of psychosis in my life where I saw them. Or maybe you can call them delusion. But on a regular basis, no. Like if I'm in a different world, like if I go to a world like a Janelle's world, I see everything Janelle sees. But that's because I've created those worlds. I've been able to be like, I know what Janelle does. Or if I go to Christina Browning and I'm doing gymnastic stuff around cell, like I know that I can make a balance beam, or you know, I put apparatus out or whatever. But I know those are things that I leave this place to go to that place, so I put them. You see what I'm saying? It's not something that, you know, there's, you know, oh, that looks like the sun is in here. Like, no, it's not like that. I actually created those worlds. I know what goes in there. I put it there. You know what I mean?
Sounds like it's almost a conscious choice on your part.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Except Maria. Now, I don't have a choice on that part, because I can't control going to Maria. That, I can switch back and forth, but I cannot switch to Maria without it being triggered. Like, you'd have to put me, like, under some, like, you know, drug-induced setting or something to trigger to get Maria. I can't forcefully switch to her, but everyone else I can, because it's a conscious way of doing it, you know? Like, every time I go to court, I tell Miss Robinson, the lady out here, she goes with me to court, I'll be like, bye-bye, Miss Robinson, I'm leaving. She's like, don't leave yet. And I just go to a whole other world. Like, sometimes I'll be calling my name. She'll have to, like, snap me out of it. And I'll just be in a whole different thing, doing all different stuff. But I've created that as a way to deal with things in life. It's not something that, that is like a chemical imbalance or something, I don't think. It's just weird, but then Maria, though, she's a trained sniper now, so she can do the most.
Where did she get training?
So Maria does for hire. She got trained from Russia. She does for hire, but she's from Mexico. She got trained for hire. She does $1,500 per minute. She does different things. That includes everything. Like, so you see her come out, she's talking about eliminate this person, eliminate that person, but it's only certain people. It's pedophiles, people that like sexually molest people, people that rape people, like those that need to be eliminated from the planet. Like, these are people, you can say, well, you're a Christian, you're supposed to not say that, but Maria's not Christian, so she don't say that. Those are people that just need to be completely wiped off the face of the planet. Because if you're going to sit there and hurt a child and pedophile and molest them and all that, then you need to be breathing. If you look at that report where the drive here, that lady was trying to get me with her gun. And like you can see on the camera, well, I kept on telling her, like, I knew exactly what she was over there doing and thinking. And I kept like, I know what you're doing over here. I know you're out to get me. You're trying to shoot me with your gun. Like, I knew all that. You know what I mean? So, like, that was a time, an example where it was very heightened, where I was, like, all over the place thinking they were out to get me with the stuff. And that I was trying to read what she had going on, and she was trying to shoot me with her gun. I don't know if you saw that report, but, like, you could see it in there where I keep looking at the cameras, telling them this. That was an example of a time that it was, like, very, very high.
And those perceptions that you get are always accurate, or?
From, like, the premonitions?
No, on the, when you get really paranoid and it seems like you know what other people are.
Yeah, because, like, think about it. In that instance with that lady, that Deputy James, it was accurate. She did have a gun on me. So, or what else she'd been doing with a gun, pointing at me. She was trying to kill me with it. So, like, that was a perfect example why it was accurate, And of course, Maria came. That whole incident happened when Maria came, and she's just going to regulate all. You know what I mean? So, but usually always accurate. Like the whole incident with the guy trying to tell me I hit somebody. I didn't really hit somebody, but these people were out to get me the whole time, and I kept telling them, like, look. There ain't no way I hit somebody. Y'all were setting me up. Like, who hit somebody and there's no mark? So I knew they were doing that because his last name was Sanchez and Maria's last name was Sanchez. So how did that happen? You know what I mean?
If I turn the volume on.
Yes, I do have a couple questions. This kind of relates back to a few things. So you've mentioned flashbacks. Can you describe more what that feels like for you?
Yeah. So anytime that I feel like I'm threatened or something is in trouble, danger, threatened, kind of way, I'll always have a flashback of like me trying to protect my mom. Like there was one time when my mom's boyfriend Greg was like beating my mom, and he threw her through the glass window at the front, and I ran around the house, got the bat, hit him in the legs, and knocked him down. So like I'll have flashbacks of those times with those things happening. You know what I mean? I try to like, I did group therapy before. We try to like reframe it, you know what I mean? I did that before through the school district. It just doesn't work for me. I would still have that flashback, and then that's why sometimes I switch personalities and go in the protective mode, because I'll have that flashback and I'll think I'm back in that same time. You know what I mean? Like, for example, you know, I text my boss and tell her that my stepdad died. I had a flashback that morning when Lena came into my room. I thought, I guess it was like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I texted my boss and told her that my stepdad had died. That was because I was having flashbacks the whole time and nightmares of the day when my stepdad died, because I weren't really sure if he was dead or not. You know what I mean? And it happens a lot, because like I can see somebody walking on the street and I'll be like, that looks like him. One of the triggers is red and black. Okay, and I know you have red and black on. So I can even watch like NC State. That's one of them, you know, basketball. You know, go to NC State game, red and black. You know what I mean? But it's surrounded. It's not just one, it's surrounded. He would come in with red shirt on and black. And the always name this is like his whole thing of like his mom. So his mom was killed supposedly by his stepdad. So he always wears red and black to like commemorate, you know what I mean? So like I can see somebody walking on the road with red and black on it, and I'll have a flashback of stepdad coming in the room, turning his lights on. He'll go, "My name is Terry Lowry," and he has this whole like monologue thing that he does before he heightens up to the huge, you know what I mean? And so that happens. That's why when I was driving one day on the back roads, I was thinking there was somebody walking, and I was thinking it was him. And so like it gets scary, because like what if one day I was to like try to run that person over, like thinking that was really him, you know what I mean? So those are the kind of flashbacks I have, and most of them, I'd say 90% of them have something to do with him. Me and Kyle call him Jackass James, just because we like don't see it trigger me so much. Jackass James, because that's what, you know. Other that I have flashbacks is from fire, because the house burned down when I was younger. And my mom blamed me, and I called 911, and I got in trouble for calling 911 because my mom was saying that the way they read the report, she wasn't going to be able to like get the house fixed on her insurance, and like same thing. Got in trouble for calling 911. Said that here. What happened was I was trying to cook for my siblings, and I had a pod, and curtains used to not be there now, whatever. And I had to run go get my little brother, and I was trying to find my sister. And when I came back in, it caught flame on the thing, and it burnt my mom's whole kitchen living room. So like anytime there's something hot, I can smell it. Like I can smell the fire as I'm there. Like sometimes, like if, for example, it can be something small, like people could be doing like a wood fire in the woods, like, you know, burning trash, or like a bonfire. I don't do bonfires, because I will be the bonfire and I'll just be like, no, like, and I'll have a flashback of the time that the fire happened in the house. The reason we moved from North Carolina to South Carolina was to show and shock our house and set it on fire, because we lived in the neighborhood. So I'll have flashbacks of my mom calling me, telling me that everything we had worked for was burned in the house. So those are like just some examples of what happens. I mean, I can almost like feel like it's burning, or I can almost feel like I'm there. I smell it, I see it, you know what I mean? And then I'll remember everything. And it's almost like it's different than when I switch personalities. When I switch personalities, like I go to those older. When that happens and I have a flashback in that same place that it happened, like I just visually there. And it happened so much for my stepdad. Like I could never. I tried to find psychotherapy and the whole reframing it. I don't expect me to reframe getting molested by a person that your mom married and trusted you. How do you want me to reframe it? That's what I'd always tell him, like, that he didn't do it, because he did. That just doesn't work. And so, like, I tried doing all that, but I couldn't. Anyone that looked like him, anyone that freaking, like, walked like him, like, anything, throughout my whole entire life. freak out, you know, and especially with the whole, like, whenever you come in with the whole, like, James, sorry, if their person's name was James, I'd always cringe and like, you know what I mean? When I read, this sounds bad, God forgive me. When I read the scripture, the book of James, I can't even go to the scripture in the book of James without having those flashbacks. And that's bad. Reading my Bible. I can't even read that section because that's his name. Because I'd be thinking, like, as good as James was, because James was Jesus' brother, how is this even James? Like, there's something wrong here. And my brother, she gave my brother Dakota James his real names, and I don't that. So those are like times that things is like we're reading a flashback. And like when they did my brother's graduation, they walked across the stage and they were like, he graduated high school and I was there. And they were like, Dakota James Lowry. I literally was like, freaking don't tell him. He is not like his dad. You know. A lot.
You're saying that these flashbacks are more than just a memory.
Oh God, yeah. I'm telling you, almost like you're right there. See, so all your senses are activated. You know what I mean?
I also recognize that red and black is trigger for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's your experience with flashbacks today when you told me.
So when you first said something to me, I didn't say anything to you, but that was the reason I did. Do you remember when you first were like, how are you doing? And I didn't say anything to you? I told myself, like, you know what I mean? Like, she has nothing to do with Jackass James. You know what I mean? So I'm sorry. Don't think I tried to disrespect you in any way when you first said them to me, but I go into like that defense mode on it. My friend, when she comes to visit me on the video screen, she won't wear it. Like, she won't do it because she knows that's one of me. That's what I was wrong for. Like, and I went to school, like, I'd go watch ball games at North Carolina, but if we played NC State, I'd be like, oh, hell no. Because I'd been, like, surrounded by a sea of red and black. Not.
And you've mentioned triggers. We've talked about several different triggers that you have. What exactly is it that's a trigger?
Well, if they don't trigger a flashback, which is usually what happens. It kind of depends on what my mental state already is. So basically, if it's just, I'm a little heightened, it'll be a flashback. If I am in severe protective mode, like scared for my life or someone else's life, it will go into anyone's enemy, and I'm protecting those people around me. One time we were at Burger King, this was in January of 2020, and this guy, he came in, and he was trying to pick on Lena about the drink machine. It's literally, like, I felt like she was, this guy was trying to do something to her. He looked like James in a way, sort of, kind of like body shape, everything. I get on the table at Burger King, and I'm like turning out the whole entire Burger King, like, to protect her. Like, I feel like that's my job. I have to do it first before Maria does. Maria doesn't, I'm not going to remember it. And if she does it, it's going to be bad, because then it's going to be somebody who is trying to hurt somebody else who's going to hurt them.
With your dissociations, you said before, apart from Maria, there's a level of conscious awareness about it. Would you say it's like daydreaming in terms of their lives, other personalities?
Yeah. It is actually a whole world. The daydreaming to me would be just somebody having like a good imagination. You know what I mean? No, it's like a whole entirely different world. Like, for example, if you were to talk to Harmony can tell you exactly what it was like to be abused in depth, like detail by detail. Every sexual part that questions she'd want to answer, she could do for you. You could have been. So I try not to say that's like daydreaming, because that's like real. You know what I mean? Where if, I think the other ways to like explain it. Maria, like I said, she doesn't have awareness of everybody else. It's just her world, and she's protecting me. And there's not people consistent in her world. Like, for example, Maria wouldn't know you. The only people consistent in Maria's world is Chance parties and like people that she's been sought out to protect. So without any daydreaming, it's an actual job that she has to do. And the kids were part of that world. Like, anybody want to do something to Gannon, Lena, Ty, Hartley, Maria feels like she can get them too, because I've spent my whole life not having adult protection. I'm going to give them protection in 5 different forms. And that's because more of like different worlds that are created, not necessarily just, you know, like when I do it in a courtroom, I go to that whole world, not like the people can go with me, not me just making it up like, oh, I'm at the beach. Not like that. It's actually me going there to the beach doing the most.